This conference will now be recorded.
Good day, everyone. Now that it's top of the hour, we will get started. So I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you for joining the 10th chapter of our monthly Cybersecure Canada webinar series. Today's topic is small and medium enterprise support programs, and it will be featuring Mark Say of INSEC-M. My name is Brennan Dumpy. I am the Director of Trust and Compliance with CyberNB SIPNet, and as always, I will be your host today. So for any new participants, and I do see there are a few new ones today, this webinar will be recorded. Participants can ask questions via the chat box, and we will address questions during the Q&A portion at the end of our presentation, time permitting, of course. Any questions that do not get addressed can be asked via email to info@insecm.ca or info@cybernb.ca. Today, after the presentation, I will draw one of the names from the participants, and that person will win a $50 Visa gift card. So we'll contact that person directly, and well, I'll announce the name, and then we'll contact that person directly to get that Visa gift card to them. And I also have a special announcement today that I'm pretty excited about, so let's jump right in. So, trust and compliance programs. So what do we do here? So what we specialize in is liaising with international and national certification bodies, helping them get required accreditation to support certification programs, help with business development activities for them. We also help businesses obtain required certification if they're looking to, participate in a supply chain that requires it, or they've been told by an enterprise organization that to maintain business, they will need to get a certification. We're here to help those organizations through that process. We promote best practices in assessing vulnerabilities and threats, and expanding market opportunities to compete in supply chains and other jurisdictions. So today we'll be talking about Cybersecure Canada. So what is Cybersecure Canada? Well, it's a voluntary certification program developed by the federal government of Canada. It was designed with the following goals in mind: to improve Canada's small, medium organizations' cyber hygiene baseline, raise awareness and educate all Canadians about cybersecurity, increase consumer confidence in the digital economy of Canada. It is based on 13 control areas found in the baseline cybersecurity controls for small and medium organizations. So the control topics are shown on the slide. For example, secure mobility. You have to ensure that your mobile phones, tablets, laptops, anything that has access to government data or networks is secured. Enable security software. Ensure your devices are protected from malicious code with anti-malware solutions, and so on. So I won't go, for the sake of time, I'm not going to go into too in-depth with each of these controls, but for more information, you can always visit our website, cybernb/trust compliance, and select Learn More under Cybersecure Canada. So today's topics are funding opportunities currently available to support certification costs for small and medium organizations, and also a new free offer for Canadian organizations. So if you wanted to get started with Cybersecure Canada, it's very easy. You just navigate to our website, cybernb.ca/trust compliance, and select the Get Started button under Cybersecure Canada. This will take you to our secure online portal, and here you'd select the Register button and enter your organization's information to start processing your Cybersecure Canada certification requirements. Our portal is powered by Microsoft Azure and utilizes the robust security functionalities as well as multi-factor authentication. And new today, we have decided to make the access to the portal free of charge. So instead of paying that $350 to register your organization to see what is required for certification, you actually can enter the portal for 100% at discounted rate, so free of charge. So to do that, you would just, when you're entering your information, you will see a spot that asks for a discount code. You just enter CSC 2021, and click outside that box, and it will give you access for free. So this is the process here. So this is an example of what you would see when you're registering your organization. It would originally say $350 Canadian plus tax here, but if you enter the CSC code into that discount code box and then just click outside the box, then it'll go down to 0, and you can just select the Pay Now and complete registration and gain access to the portal free of charge. So we're pretty excited about that. It'll should open up the doors for any organizations that are curious, just want to see what's required for certification, and maybe even get started with the certification process. So inside the portal, when completing the certification requirements, you'll be presented with a series of statements. Now we refer to them as statements due to, by selecting the implemented radio button, you are stating that your organization, that statement is true, number 11, so which refers to baseline control 1.3. Organizations shall consider purchasing a cybersecurity insurance policy that includes coverage for incident response and recovery activities, or provide the rationale for not purchasing one. So in this case, for statement 11, the required evidence would be you would provide your organization's cybersecurity insurance policy certificate or the rationale for not purchasing insurance. So in this example, they just stated the cyber insurance policy certificate is attached, and then you can see that it is attached to the statement. So that would be what the certification body is checking for when they are reviewing your submission. You will notice that the submit for certification button at the bottom is grayed out. You would not be able to submit for certification until you have completed all 51 statements for Cybersecure Canada certification. Once you've completed them all, that button will light up and it will allow you to submit for certification review. And upon submission, it would notify CyberNB, and we would contact you and ask you which of the 4 accredited certification bodies you would like to select to do the review for you. The cost of the certification review is set by the selected certification body. So for the Cybersecure Canada, there are 4 current accredited certification bodies. There are a few that are in the process, but to my knowledge, they have not achieved full accreditation as of yet. So right now there are Bulletproof Solutions, Cybersecurity Canada, SourceTech IT, and of course WATSEC Cyber Risk Management. Now at any step along the way, if you find that you don't understand a control, of course you can reach out to put in a help request and get some more information. But if you need some more complex technical assistance, like for example, you need someone to put in a firewall for you or configure your firewall, we have a group of trusted managed service providers that we can put you in touch with to help process those requirements for you at any time. And of course, we also still have an agreement with Hub International that provides any certified organization with a 10% premium discount off of cyber insurance standard rates once they achieve certification. So not only will you be eligible for cybersecurity insurance, but you also will receive a 10% discount from cyber insurance standard rates. So if you'd like some more information on that initiative, it is also listed on our website, cybernb.ca/trust and compliance. Coming soon, there will be e-learning modules. They are currently under development. They will be released, I believe, early summer. They will be free of charge, hosted on the ICED Canada website. So the federal government will be hosting these e-learning modules. They're designed to help organizations understand the control requirements and how to implement these controls. So as part of our monthly Spotlight series, we will be showcasing a specific partner and their unique offerings to the Cybersecure program each month. May's Partner Spotlight features INSECM. INSECM is Canada's cybersecurity industry cluster. They are a non-profit organization that brings together companies, learning and research institutions, and government actors to take concert action to increase the cohesion and competitiveness of the Canadian cybersecurity industry, nationally and internationally. We have a partner spotlight page on our website with a blog that was written by InsecM's own Mark Say. So please visit our website and check it out. All right, so lastly, I'm going to be introducing our guest speaker today. Mark is responsible for the strategic partnership development by bringing governments and private enterprises and academics together and help build a Canadian cybersecurity ecosystem. He's the Director of Strategic Alliances and Partnerships. He has more than 15 years of IT and cybersecurity experience, as well as over 20 years continuous advancement and expertise in consultative sales, marketing, business development, and technical product applications in various environments. By leveraging his experience, he has been able to demonstrate his ability to develop brand strategies to align, retain growth, and manage stakeholders' expectations. He is adept in directing all efforts towards business growth, refining long-term organization strategic goals, and determining tactical opportunities. So with that, Mark, I will make you a presenter, and you should be able to share your screen.
Can y'all see this?
Yep, it's perfect.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Brandon, for the warm introduction. I will take your recording and use that in future presentation that I have, and I love the picture that you're using it for me. Now that I don't have to dress up and I could still stay in my PJ for this. So thank you everybody for coming out today to listen to this May webinar on cybersecurity and Cybersecure Canada certification for small, medium-sized business. Hi, my name is Mark C. I'm the sales director, or I should say, let me try that again. The strategic director and alliance and partnership for InsecM. As Brandon mentioned, that InsecM is a non-for-profit organization that concentrates on to connect people and opportunities and technology together. Our goal is really to help small, medium-sized cybersecurity company to market themselves beyond, not only within our border and beyond. We have right now in our ecosystem over 80 members right across Canada in the cyber vertical that could help Canadian companies in terms of accessing the various different technology solutions to help them to be more suited for the current environment and whatnot. And part of our offering for small, medium-sized company for Canadian company is really helping company to be more equipped to the new environment. That being number one, well, we run a number of programs for the Canadian government, such as the Cybersecure Canada certifications. We help small company getting ready to get their certifications. We also are helping IRAP through NRC in terms of helping Cyber Canadian to get on board in terms of being more equipped in the global economy. Aside from the basic, that we also help Canadian company to market, not only nationally and internationally. By doing so, we provide trade shows, we provide trade missions abroad and whatnot, and we also provide one-on-one introductions. So if you have any questions or you want to connect with any particular company, come out to us. We have an ecosystem or beyond that we could certainly help you to connect with the right people, not only nationally, but also internationally. So I could get into that a little bit later on. like I said, once again, thank you, Brent, and Cyber MB for inviting me to come out and speak. Certainly, Cyber MB have done a tremendous job in terms of also promoting the ecosystem for Canadian companies, and you know, from the various programs that you have. And I have to admit, even before I joined the world of cybersecurity, I have already heard about Cyber NB. So your work has certainly spread well throughout Canada for your work. So to get on with this, without further ado, I just want to go just to give you a little bit of highlight what I'm going to be talking about. It will not be a technical presentation. This presentation, I will review some of the the basic for Cybersecurity Canada certification requirements and whatnot, but with a little bit of a twist applying to business environment and whatnot. Not so much the technical side, but why we need this. And then I will get into a little bit about the new funding program that came out, and how some of you could get on board with it, and some of the roadmap in the future for some of these funding opportunities. Okay. So where we're going today, as I mentioned, we're going to have a briefly touch base on the cyber certification background and the scoping of the certification. We'll touch a little bit on the compliance process, and then I'll once again talk about the new funding that's coming out or have came out in some regions, and then we'll talk about some typical timeline, how to get your certification, how long it takes and whatnot. And well, lastly, we'll talk about some of the typical efforts, things like, you know, what it takes in order for some SME in order to be on board for this. So unlike everybody else, I'm going to start by saying, okay, what's driving the certification? And you know, a lot of I heard a lot of the different presentations, whatnot, and much of that is concentrating on costs, reducing costs, and be safe. Since I'm coming from a business background, I'm going to say the business driver is really profit. I mean, for most of us, we're in business for the sake of making money. Otherwise, a lot of business will not get out of bed every day, right? So going back to economic 101, profit is really the revenue subtract the cost. So my favorite part, the revenue. In order for any business, we are looking at increasing revenue. So we're not looking at cost a lot. We want to increase the revenue. We want to go into new geographic location. We want to go into the new market. We want to you know, offer the best solution out there. And then we were looking at the cost and how we could, you know, to make that revenue profit or the profit margin even higher. So how do we get revenue? From a business point of view, and number of years sales, it's really trust. Trust is a major part of sales and increasing revenue for a business. How does that work? Trust is everything. I mean, we would not buy things if we don't trust the brand, the people that we're dealing with, and the product that's being offered. No matter how well sometimes your product could be, you know, selling for, you might be selling a fraction of a particular product. People still buy the higher end because they trust that. So a lot of the brand names out there, they charge huge amount of money because their brand stands out. And then there's the value, of course. So the values being, you know, how well your product is, how well in terms of return is. So once again, that gets into the revenue side of it. And lastly, the cost part of it I'm looking at. So what are some of the costs that affect the profit in the cyber world? Well, if you have a damaged reputation, for example, you have a breach, you have a hack, or you know, your location is being physically breached, there is a reputation. You lose that reputation, Hence, you will not have the same opportunity to get more business from that. There's also the economic loss, of course. Once you lose that, you have to go back and reestablish yourself. So there is an opportunity loss with that. Of course, the data loss and the IP loss. So in other words, if you don't have a secure procedure or secure process in place, how do you protect your data, your IP, and your partner's IP or your client's IP or information? And that is a loss to you. Of course, in order to implement security to these, you will drive up the costs. And once again, if you don't have safety or the procedures and whatnot in place, the cost, you will drive up the cost for that. So nowadays, more and more business require that you have to demonstrate you have security or you have security process in place in order for you to do business with them. And that is paramount, especially nowadays. We are looking at global economy, global supply chains. People want to know that their information, their data, their clients list, their IP, their business models, and their information are protected by you. Once you touch them, they want to make sure you are protecting them as well as their own people protecting it. You could be, anywhere, but they want to make sure that it's been done. The third one is security due diligence. Depending on the industry you're in, some of the partners or clients want to do a due diligence on you. They want to make sure that you have what it takes to be part of their ecosystem to deliver. And that's not only applied to supply chain situation, but also apply to collaborations, even among organization, non-for-profit, or just people doing things together to promote a particular event or promote a particular cause. They still want to make sure that you are protecting them and their information. And this is above what a traditional business where if you were to sell to a client and clients, you could prove by doing a prototype or give them a demo and whatnot. This is way beyond that. They want to make sure beyond the demo that it's working, that you have other back-end security to protect them. And a lot of them that do come in, say for example, in order for a Canadian company to deal with, say for example, the CSCs, the DNDs, the RCMPs, you have to be on this particular procurement vehicle. One of the known one right now is called the CSPV, Cybersecurity Procurement Vehicle. It was introduced a few years ago by Share Service for the purpose of dealing with cybersecurity company within the Canadian environment without going out to tender outside of that. But in order for you to be on that ecosystem, you have to go through rigorous security due diligence and applications and security clearance. So that is very important. And the third one, more practical one, is the cybersecurity is often written into contracts. As you're dealing with partners, as you're dealing with clients and whatnot, and you're part of that supply chain, they want to make sure you have in place and legally binding security process. And it's becoming very practical business practice. This is very similar to everyday life. Say, for example, if you are renting a place in an apartment, the landlord will want to see some sort of tenant insurance so that when the house is burned down or there's a liability, they're not on the hook for it. Or business liability, when you're dealing with certain enterprise and whatnot, they want to make sure you have certain business liability so that they're protected and their supply chain and their clients are protected overall wise. So this is very important nowadays in the business environment. Years ago, a typical supply chain could be, say for example, a manufacturing hub entirely made out of a village. And the supply chain basically composed of all the craftsmen right along the main street. So you have one end of the village will come in with products, raw resource, and then as it goes through the street, various different craftsmen add their value to it, and then at the end of the other end of the village, a finished product's done. So that is a very contained supply chain. But in modern days, that supply chain changes. We are more globalized, and that there's more risks involved. A typical supply chain would be the film industry. As you folks could appreciate, a major film production costs millions of dollars, and the revenue generated from that could be in millions and billions of dollars. So if there is a breach, that it will affect the revenue for that particular business and the reputation. As you could appreciate, nowadays, the film industry doesn't only locate in Hollywood, LA. It is all over the map, right across the world. So you have the film production, the physical filming. Then once that is put together from various different locations, somebody had to put them together. And there's different post-production. That post-productions could be, anywhere from India, China, America, Europe, East Asia, Eastern European. It could be anywhere. So one of the known problem right now in the film industry is pirating. Even though these films are passed around and it's securely passed through the internet, oftentimes it's these subcontractors out there who do not have a secure procedure or proper way to secure these productions. And oftentimes they could be physically broken into or hacked. So imagine a production film that's not ready to go out, been hacked, been stolen, and been put on the YouTube or been made into CDs and been sold at a fraction of the price that these Hollywood company could make. That's damaging. We're talking about millions. We're not talking about a couple of dollars and whatnot. And that, if you're a part of that supply chain, it could certainly affect a lot of your business in that. So I'm just gonna quickly quickly go to some of these security framework options. Right now, Nist is one of the most popular framework out there. It's managed by the National Institute of Science and Technology in US. There's two branches of Nist. One is the cybersecurity framework, and the other one's the 852. Both of them are very similar in the sense that they have many standards, methodology, and procedure that they follow. Depending on the industry you're in, they have various different for that. The second one is the ISO 27000 family. Specifically for the cybersecurity, is the ISO 27001. And this is basically managed by the International Standard Association. And once again, it deals a lot with the information security management and the security program elements of that. And the third one is more applicable to sorry. Oh. The third one is CIS control. This is the security internet. Oh, let me try that again. It's the Center for Internet Security. And this is a non-for-profit organization. And this particular control is designed for SMEs and very similar to the Canadian cyber certification, which I will get into a little bit. So all of these are some of the most popular framework out there for cybersecurity. The Nist is really governed, it's sponsored by the US government. And they basically started, I believe, for the cybersecurity framework started 2013 by the US president back then with a signed an executive order to get US company on board. Because of the popularity and the wide usage, right now, Nist composes probably about 50%, over 50% of enterprise out there are using Nist. Then you have the ISO. I believe that is about 25%-ish are using ISO from the various different industry. And then you have the IS. There are other also certifications out there, things like HIPAA and PCI, which is dealing with payment transactions and whatnot. Now, going back to the three that is listed, or the first two, the Nist and ISO. Unfortunately, these are for large enterprise. It's very costly. It costs tens of thousands of dollars in order to implement it, and the time frame for that. So that is very much out of the reach for many smaller enterprises and whatnot. So here we are. The Cybersecure Canada certification. This, I don't want to get into due detail of it because it's already been spoken and presented many times and by experts and whatnot. As you can appreciate, there's 13 base control modules that designed for smaller enterprise. And it's a fairly easy baseline for most enterprise to reach. And it's sponsored by the Canadian government. Let's just put it why is this important for SMEs? Well, first of all, this particular symbol is well-known brand. The Canadian flag is well-known worldwide and well-respected. For some of you, including myself, when I went backpacking many years ago, one of the first things I did was I went out and got one of these patches and put it on my backpack. Why? Because as I go to Europe and other parts of the world, people will recognize that. They respect Canadians. They like Canadians. And we definitely, it's one of the brand that's well recognized throughout the world and respected. So what does that have to do with us, today's talk? Well, as Canadian companies and Canadian cyber providers, this is important. I mean, it's like any brands out there, the Nikes, the Coca-Cola, and the IBMs and whatnot. A lot of people from a business side of it, they trust the brand. When they trust the brand, they're willing to do business with you. So if they trust you as a Canadian company, they are willing to do business with you. So when you overlay that with the Cybersecure Canada certification, boom, it will open doors for you, and doors that you wouldn't believe. And I'll give you a story related to that. Just yesterday, I was hosting InsightCam and the Trade Commissioner of Canada. We had a mini conference. We had over 30 trade commissioners right across the world that came together with Canadian cybersecurity company. And these trade commissioners are from, from all the way from Vietnam, Singapore, Australia, Brazil's, Costa Rica, you name it, right out from South America and all the way up to Europe. In talking to them in preparation for this conference, there afterwards, one of the commonality that I'm hearing from these trade commissioners is Canadian cybersecurity, Canadian business, go out there and get business. You have a huge advantage. You are a trusted brand. And hence, and this is why we were able to get over 30 trade commissioners to come out and promote Canadian cybersecurity. So why am I saying this? As business owners or as business operators, this is very important to us. The branding's been set up for us. The trust that is there. We just need the cybersecurity layer to that, and then it will definitely open doors for us. And of course, going back to my economic 101, increased sales. Just, recap a little bit about the certification process here. Here we are. In order for an individual company to get certification at the end, these are well laid out, and I'm borrowing from the Cybersecurity Canada website for this, is that we go through the 13 controls and then, submit for a compliance, and then get a certified body to come out and do an audit. And then once we meet the criteria of the audit, then they will give us a certification. And then of course, that certification is good for 2 years, and they will re-audit. So for most companies, that roadmap is fairly simple. There are a couple of different ways of reaching that. One is a self-serve, where you as a company be able to basically get onto the various different resource and meet those criteria. And for some of these companies who cannot or do not have the expertise or do not have the resource in terms of the timeline and whatnot, then they seek help outside of the organizations. And there are a number of organizations, including at InsightCam, where we will help with step 1, 2, and 3, where we will coach you and help you get ready and before you and get a pre-audit evaluation before you actually get to submit your application for that. As I mentioned, one of the services that we do is really personalizing coaching to implement the 13 controls that is set out by the Cybersecure Canada system there. We help companies basically do a baseline evaluation, see where they are and what they need to do in order to reach that goal. And we also provide supports, not only from our own staff, but also from our ecosystem. We have over 80 cybersecurity specialists throughout, have very different so-called experience from firewall to identity management and policy training, right? Prior to you apply for it, we also do a pre-audit evaluation that will help you get ready for it before your audit. And I don't have to mention, there are 4 bodies basically that does audit, and many of them are within our ecosystem. And then there's several more in the pipeline, I believe, and I think they will be, some of them will be in place at the end of the year. So once again, just recapping where we play, the space we're playing, we basically help a company in terms of getting them ready before their certification. So here's the fun part. So having set that base for you, then it gives you an idea what my next topic is and how that funding program works. Back in February 26th, the Canadian government for the region of the Canadian Economic Development for the Quebec announced a funding support. Basically, the idea is to help Canadian company to move forward, to be more cyber secure and be able to use that to promote Canadian companies abroad and internal and within our border, and to help spur up the economic growth. This specific one was announced February 26th for the region of Quebec. The whole idea of this is to help. Sorry, let me get back. To help programs that's in place. That would be one is InsightCam. We've been helping many companies in preparing for their cybersecurity certification. So the CDQ provided $800,000 to InsightCam to continue to support 150 companies to obtain the Cybersecurity Canada certification this year. So why? Once again, is to promote the growth economy. So unfortunately, that at this present time, that particular program, it's only limited to the Quebec environment, the border, but we are in negotiation with other regions to have similar programs, such as Ontario and East Coast and West Coast for that. So what does this involve for the SMEs? So that particular funding is allocated for 150 SME in the Quebec border. And that means it includes 30 hours professional coaching, whether it's by our staff or our associates, in order for these companies to bring up to par with the control system. We partner up with people like CyberMB through their cyber portal to help small companies to get on top in terms of where they are, and making sure there's some self-serving part of it so that they know what they're doing. And then of course, we do the pre-auditing and the audit. The fee for auditing, it's part of this funding. Now, just to get back to you on that, the funding is non-refundable. So in other words, the government do not ask that money back from you. It's given to you, and it's about $8,000 to $10,000 for each company once they are qualified, and that's the allocation for them. So how long does it take for a typical cybersecurity certification? That depends. It's almost like asking my accountants, how much does it cost to prepare my taxes for my company? And oftentimes he asks a number of questions. Are your receipts in place? Are they in a shoebox, or are they in a spreadsheet, and so on and so forth? So that makes a difference. It's similar to the cybersecurity certifications. Within our ecosystem, we actually had a number of companies that were able to apply for the audit within 2 weeks on being onboarded, because they have already had some of these control in place through best practices or through other forms of compliance that they were part of, so that they were like within a month, they were able to get the certifications. But the average for many on the short side, it's about 3 months to 8 months. Once again, like I said, it really depends on a number of factors, which we will get into. But if you're not prepared for it, and if you don't have the baseline for it, then it could take up to 8 months for some of these control to be properly set in place in order for you to get to the auditing part of it. So as part of this auditing, or the role to getting the certification, there are a number of factors that will affect your timeline. And as I mentioned to you earlier, in this case, this is very generic situation. Number one, it's leadership. Leadership is absolutely important. If the leadership is not committed, then things could fall apart. And people just think that, oh my gosh, CEO just want to do it as a check mark. We don't have to do this. We could continue to do what we are doing, but we check mark it off and sort of doing shortcuts and whatnot. Even if the auditor is gone, we go back to our old way of doing it. So that is absolutely important. So the leadership has to be committed to do this. And then of course, recertify every 2 years. The second one, and it's one that really hit me a lot, is team. Once the leadership sells to the team has to be able to be sold and be able to do it, because the bulk of the work is the team. If they do not see the commitment, they do not see the genuine asking behind it, or the value behind it, they will not do it, and they could sabotage this. This is a true story. Many years ago, I was working in a different industry where they were just introducing the voicemail. I'm dating myself a little bit here. And back then, you know, the company I was with, we all have our offices, and then in the middle of the offices, we have a pool of assistants. And these folks, and this is a service industry, by the way, and these folks in the middle will answer our phones and take messages, or if there's a service calls, whatnot, they will take down that message and assign various different service individual to go out and help the client. Unfortunately, the management did not convey the proper message to the team. A lot of the team thought that this is a way for the manager to cut human resources. So there was a pushback. People think, oh my gosh, we're going to lose all these assistants. We're going to lose, you know, Mary, she's been really good to me, and yada, yada, yada. So a lot of the employees, instead of helping, they sabotaged it. So at the end of it, the company was not able to successfully roll out these voicemail until a couple of years later. They had a new manager, and then of course, you know, that changed the conversation a little bit. The third one is really the IT side of it. A lot of the companies, depending on the industry you're in, you do not have an in-house IT. You depend on your supply chain. Once again, you're depending on subcontracting, outsourcing, and whatnot. So that is an important part of it. So depending on how well they are going to meet the control or cooperate with you, that will also affect the timeline that and the effort that you need in order to successfully roll out. And the fourth one is, once again, the HR, the legal. That really depending on the size of the company. If you're a fairly small company, you don't have to worry about the HR or the legal. And then some of that, once again, it's outside of, into the outsourcing side of it. And the last one is the facility. Depending on the facility you're in, and especially now we are in the remote working environment, where, you know, a lot of that it's done from home. So that will also have a huge effect in terms of how some of these control come in play. And these are factors that you really have to take into account when you're planning and have an understanding what the timeline for that. Because oftentimes we get situations where even a couple months ago, I had an old associate called me out. It's like, Mark, my client want me to be cyber secure. They want to see a certification. Please help me. I don't have that much time. We got a big contract coming up, and I only have, you know, short period of time. What's the cheapest and fastest way? So you get often, these are the typical situation where a lot of the smaller supply chain on the bottom of the supply chain provider run into, is that they will be pressed to get the cyber security control in place. So hence, once again, going back to the Cybersecure Canada certification, I believe this is one of the strongest and one of the well thought out cybersecurity framework out there, and knowingly that this will also down the road be rolled into the part of the standard, the Canadian cyber standard framework. Now that once you have the 13 controls in place, this definitely will help you because you're already partly through that. So having said that, that's sort of a very, very simple over 30,000 feet overview on it in terms of where we're going with the cybersecurity certification, why there's such a government interest in the funding for this, and other regions that will be involved. Now, just going back to that a little bit, is that keep in mind, these funding are non-refundable. So that means you get it and it's free for you. So why not? Make an application, come out. If you have any questions, ask us, or you could reach out to the various FedDevs and regional FedDevs and get some information. Here are some of the resources that I was able to find that you could get a little bit more information on the various different topics that I discussed. And then if you have any further question within or with respect to what I've mentioned, feel free to reach out. My email address is at the bottom there, markc@untitled insecam.com, and if that is not how you weren't able to capture that, you certainly could also reach back to Brandon, and he will have all that information for you. Thank you very much. I hopefully I didn't bore you with the story that I have here, and be able to clarify some of the things and the roadmap for the certification and the advantage.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Mark. Before we get to the gift card awarding here, does anyone have any questions for Mark or myself? All right, great. Okay, so we did draw a name. I'll just give the first initial and the last name of the person who won, and then I will contact that person directly. So we have a Jay Knox who has won the $50 Visa gift card today. We'll be in contact with that representative, or with that person, sorry, and then we'll get that out, and we'll do the same thing again next month. All right. So, well, thank you for everyone for joining today.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hi, it's Victor. I have one quick question. When is this program going to start with InsecM? Or is it available today?
So this particular program is available today. If you are, but there is a restriction that at this point in time, this particular one is for the region of Quebec. So if you are operating within the Quebec border, this funding is available to you. So you could reach out to us, and we will work with you in terms of getting the application through and get that funding. As I mentioned earlier, we are working with other regions in terms of bringing this out to other Canadian companies.
So if a company has already started the process of going through the certification, can they now apply? Like they've committed, they're going through all the planning stages and preparation. Can they still apply for the funding?
Correct. And it's just because you're already halfway through your timeline in terms of getting the certification definitely will be shortened. So you will probably be one of these guys take about 3 weeks to do so, right? Once you got your your approval.
Oh yeah, no. We're working with a company, and we thought they were going to be ready, but it looks like they're going to be a couple of months away. So, and they've been working on it for about 3-4 months.
This is one of your suppliers, or it's one of the service provider? Okay.
They're a tech company also.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
And they're out of Montreal.
Okay. There's perfect. That's perfect.
Okay. Good. All right. So I guess that's it for me.
All right.
Okay.
Any other
yeah.
questions?
Feel free to reach out.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions, anyone? All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Have a great day, and we'll see you again same time next month.
Thank you.
Bye now.